How's it going, everyone? Here to talk a little bit more about PlayStation Stars shutting down and the reaction towards it. Now, I expected there would be a fairly negative reaction. Obviously, PlayStation and Sony are taking away value from the consumer, but in my comment section and now reading online a little bit more, there's a lot of people that are infuriated. And I think rightfully so, especially because the whole idea of PlayStation Stars and any loyalty program for that matter is to reward the people that are the most invested into your ecosystem, the people that are spending the most money on PlayStation. And loyalty programs are there to get your investment and your attachment towards that ecosystem, and I think a lot of this does link back to the issue, and I'm not saying it's the only reason. However, there isn't a lot of reason for PlayStation to really strive to get your loyalty anymore, strive to get your investment anymore, and be as competitive as they once were. And I feel like I've been talking about this for a long time, and there are those people that totally got what I was saying, and then there were other people that misconstrued what I was saying, and what I'm getting at is this is what happens when PlayStation, and any entity for that matter, has no competition. And I see people in the comment section sometimes say, wow, you're turning PlayStation's failures now into the fault of Xbox. I am not doing that. I am telling you what the situation is. I am telling you that this is what happens in any landscape if there isn't a competitive marketplace. And right now, there is not a competitive marketplace. I'm not saying it's Microsoft's fault. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I am telling you the reality of the situation right now, that PlayStation is in a world where they are free to do whatever they want. When a entity is competitive, it's usually not because, oh, we just want to provide the consumer the best value possible. No, it's because they are in a competitive marketplace and they need to provide the consumer with a lot of value to get them over. And PlayStation does not have to do that anymore. And with PlayStation Stars, that incentive for them to reward their most loyal consumer, it's not really there anymore. They already have that level of investment, and I think they realize that, hey, why are we giving our most loyal users this much value? We need to make more money on the back end, and we don't need to give them PlayStation credit. Now, I saw a lot of people also think that PlayStation and a loyalty program is being eliminated outright, based on the fact that they continually say this version of PlayStation Stars is coming to an end. I am led to believe that they will be introducing another version of PlayStation Stars or some sort of loyalty program. However, I would imagine that they are going to taper back how many rewards they offer you. Remember how they altered it from a subscription service standpoint, and that wasn't applicable anymore. The signs were already there as far as that's concerned. I know some people make jokes about, oh, this is the Concord tax once again. I think PlayStation at this point is just an entity trying to make the most amount of money possible, as any business is going to do. But it's not about rewarding their most loyal consumers anymore. They do not care about that as much as they once did. They cared about having that investment into the PlayStation ecosystem. Now, I believe their perception has shifted is, what other ecosystem are you going to be invested into? PC gaming, well, it's great. A lot of people are priced out of it. Console gaming remains, from a price point standpoint, fairly more accessible. Xbox has a very little cachet at this stage of the game, and they're literally releasing their games onto PlayStation. And again, these things might be disconnected on a surface level in the sense of how most people perceive it, but it's all connected together, I feel. And it's not just PlayStation Stars. Look at how PlayStation has also treated a service like PlayStation Plus Premium. And I bring that up because I bring up the element of rewarding your most loyal consumers. Your most loyal and hardcore consumers, you would think, would be those subscribed to PlayStation Plus Premium. I would argue that that is the biggest pile of trash subscription service, quite possibly look, I'm not assessing every subscription service on the planet, but that's gotta be PlayStation Plus Premium. That tier has to be one of the worst subscription services on planet Earth. I do not believe that's hyperbole. Look at what they just did this past month, where they absolutely destroyed that service from their PlayStation VR offerings, and they gave you one classic game in return. That is what they do. And mind you, they eliminated so many PSVR 2 games, and those are the games that are gonna be applicable to, you guessed it, the people that are the most invested and the most spending on PlayStation. Those with PlayStation Plus Premium and those with the VR2 headset. They said, screw those people, get rid of all of those games, we'll give you Project Killer or whatever it is. It's about that loyalty that people have had to PlayStation. It doesn't matter anymore, and you see it in all facets, not just this loyalty program being into, oh, you've been loyal to PlayStation for so long. Why have you been loyal to PlayStation? Oh, it's been, for a lot of people, I think it's been their first party games output and their single player experiences. Screw that. We ain't about that life no more. Let's have the studios that have been so invested into making single player experience. Ben Studio, live service game for you. Bluepoint, live service game for you. Naughty Dog, you're gonna be working on a live service game, and you get no games from them for 5 years, 7 years, however long it's gonna be. It might be 10 years in between Bluepoint Games releasing a new game. It might be 10 years in between Ben Studio releasing a new game, and all of that is applicable to the most loyal of loyal PlayStation consumers being taken for granted. And you want to know why you're being taken for granted? Because they can. They are in a position where they feel they already have you. It doesn't matter anymore. And now you're seeing it with the loyalty program as well. Your loyalty is not going to be rewarded. And I bring all of these elements up because it's in a facet of just about everything under the sun, where you might have been invested into PlayStation as an ecosystem. You're not getting it on the back end anymore. It's not about them putting out games for you. It's about them trying to establish these live service ecosystems where they can make money off of those games from a different audience, or maybe even the same audience, but it's about getting more money out of you. That, you know, PlayStation Plus Premium, we're getting some money off you out of that. Let's lessen the value a little bit. Let's not tell them though, let's lessen the value a little bit. Let's be a little sly about it, and hopefully most people don't realize. Let's lessen the value of PlayStation Plus Extra as well, but we'll up the price point. Let's definitely up the price point continually, but lessen the value proposition. And I go back to that over and over again. I feel like one of the most unsung stories about PlayStation over the last 3 to 5 years has been lessening the value proposition of, first of all, their platform. There is a lessened value proposition from the PlayStation 5 as a console platform, given that PlayStation isn't putting out as many games as they used to. 2023, 2024, 2025, without a doubt, lesser games output than what we've seen in the past. Not only that, PlayStation Plus price points go up, the value proposition absolutely has gone down, but we'll continually up that price of PlayStation Plus, and I'm sure they're gonna up it once again. Loyalty program, that is going to go away, or it's gonna be replaced. And remember before, subscription services tied to the loyalty program, that was already something done away with, and it's happening over and over again, and I think PlayStation's gonna continually do it. At least they haven't priced their games at $80 yet, and Yote is scheduled for a $70 release, which I'm happy about that, but you know it'll be coming eventually at some point. And just looking at the comment section of my video yesterday, somebody put it pretty good. Sony just keeps devaluing their platform, and I would go with that over and over again. Oh, what's that $700 console with no disk drive? It's about devaluing that platform by, one, increasing the price point of various things while also lessening the value proposition. Somebody else commented, the minute they told us our payment for subscriptions wouldn't count towards points, which was 700 plus, I canceled my membership. It was pointless after that. I have 141 games that I can play offline with no internet connection or a PS Plus subscription. And I'll go back to the PS Plus subscription. Man, PS Plus is just a scam at this point. It's a pile of trash, especially when you look at the extra tier and the premium tier. Look, are there some good games in PS Plus Extra? Yes. However, when you look at it from the standpoint of the price point has gone up and the value proposition, without a shadow of a doubt, when you look at games leaving the service versus entering the service, it has gone down, you guys. That is not debatable. That is not something that you could really have an opinion. No, it's gone up. They're actually taking the extra money that we're spending and they're reinvesting it into PlayStation Plus. Look at that premium catalog update for this month, and then look at what they added. Do not tell me that they're taking that extra money and reinvesting it into the quality of PlayStation Plus. They're not doing that. It's about getting the most amount of money from you as possible. Another user says, this is actually straight up garbage. I use PS Stars to spend the many points I got from campaigns and buying full price digital games towards $5 to $10 savings on games. How the F Sony continues to make anti-consumer decisions every single month and not see how this pushes people to hate Sony even more than they already do. It's because a lot of us, while I do bring this up, we are perceived to be a little bit more in the vocal minority, and the reality is, even if it is a majority, there is no direct competitor, at least not at this stage of the game. I think if Microsoft decides at some point we're not putting our games out on PlayStation and they decide to release a lot of great games, Game Pass is still at a high value proposition. Next generation things can turn around, but as they continue to release their games on PlayStation, that's not going to change. I would say the fact that Xbox and Microsoft are releasing their games on PlayStation, that reinforces every single anti-consumer decision that they make, because it doesn't matter about catering to the consumer anymore. It just doesn't. They don't have to care. Catering to the consumer works so they can have that investment into their platform over other platforms. If there are no other platforms, it's over. They don't have to cater to you anymore, and that's why you want a healthy competitive environment, so they do have to cater to you, and if that doesn't exist, well, they're not going to cater to you. Wow, one of the main avenues Sony was giving back to players by giving us free money and other rewards. Sony has totally lost the plot. Greed has taken over. And absolutely, I don't think greed ever completely left, but the fact that, you know, you don't have that competition, greed will take over even more. Been buying way less anyway since games went up to 70, and when games go up to 80, I will hardly buy anything. I'm phasing out of playing video games. Look, I hate to read stuff about that, people getting phased out of playing video games entirely. There are so many games from history. I get it, a lot of the news about game prices going up. Not the greatest thing in the world, but, you know, it is what it is. So the price of their awful PlayStation Plus subscription is higher, but they also got rid of the program that gives you credit towards games. Let me reiterate it again. Prices going up, value proposition going down. That should be the story of PlayStation over the last year or two. That is really what it is. Remember, price points of PlayStation Plus, PlayStation 5, the value of that ecosystem, has gone exponentially down. No longer buying a PlayStation is going to warrant you multiple high-quality first-party games a year. We're not going to have a 2018 for, I don't know how long. Maybe we'll have one next year, hopefully, with Soros and Wolverine. But 2018, where you had Spider-Man and God of War. 2009, where you had Uncharted 2, you know, Killzone 2, Infamous, all in the same year. It's not about that anymore. It's about fair game. It's about Concord, at least for now. At least with this live service push, it was about Concord and fair game. Hopefully, that course corrects. At the very least, we need the majority of these live service games to absolutely bomb. Helldivers 2, I've already talked about that game ad nauseum, but that game I feel like wasn't chasing the live service bag as desperately as some of their other titles, like a Concord and fair game, seemingly are doing. But nonetheless, honestly, these companies are a sinking ship. Didn't the PS Stars thing just get introduced within the last 5 years? It did. Isn't that kind of a bad luck to introduce something brand new and then immediately take it away? Well, they're immediately taking it away so they can take more value from you. That's what's actually going on. But nonetheless, yes, it seems like a lot of people are infuriated by this, and again, even if in a vacuum you don't care about PlayStation Stars going away, I think this should be emblematic of the greater story about PlayStation in 2025 and going forward, where we are in this era of very little or even no competition, where they don't have to care. The onus on them putting out a Yote, a major first-party games, that's not there anymore. Why did major first-party games come out on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3? It's because Microsoft was at their heels. Microsoft was breathing down their neck. They had to up their first-party games. And for all of you to say, oh, the Xbox One wasn't competition, they didn't have competition. You guys, they just came off the heels of the 360. They were very much pressured to make sure that people gravitated towards the PlayStation 4. Sure, Microsoft shot themselves in the foot right off the rip with the used games thing, but trust me, that era of the PS3 getting whooped by the 360 for a while, very fresh in their minds, and they had the onus to be like, okay, we need to offer compelling value. And once they completely destroyed Microsoft with the PS4, and once the PS5 was well ahead, now is where you are seeing the value proposition plummet. It's not something that happens overnight, but the fact that PlayStation's been in the lead for so long and they haven't had this competition, now they are going to lessen the value proposition. There are so many comments and takes that I see all the time that I just think are so bad. There's a lot of great takes as well, and sometimes I'm not saying I'm right about everything, but sometimes I just need to call out some of the really bad things. Oh, the Xbox One wasn't competition though, and PlayStation was still putting out first-party games. Why would you say the Xbox One was competition, guys? They just came off the heels of the 360. What? Do you think they just automatically thought as the PS4 was coming out, oh, this console is just gonna destroy the Xbox One? We should already move to live service games. Look, live service wasn't even as big as it was in 2013, but this is something that happens over time. It's not something that just instantly happens overnight. But now, I've been saying this for years and years about the price points going up and value proposition going down. I think a lot of people are starting to pick up on that as well. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. It's a reality of the situation, so, you know, consume the info how you want. Sound off down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.